Hello class 10. So today we'll begin with a chapter which is known as Heredity and Evolution. Okay, so we begin with the first part of the chapter called Heredity. So let's understand this word heredity. You might have seen, you might have observed, whenever a child is born, there are friends and relatives all around to comment, see, the eyes look like the father. Look at the lips are exactly like the mother's, or maybe some scar or some other property in the body might be like that, where the relatives will say, see, this looks like the grandparents, any of the grandparents. So this, we have, the human race has observed these characters passing on from one generation to another, where some characters of the father or the mother is passed on into the child. Not only that, there are some characters of the grandparents that come into children, right? So this phenomenon where characters are transferred from one generation to the other is known as heredity. So what is heredity? Heredity is the phenomenon of transfer of characters from generation to generation, from one generation to another, or maybe alternate generations, but from one generation goes into the next generation or the next. This transfer of characters is known as heredity. The phenomenon is known as heredity, right? And the characters might be called, like if I have my eyes similar to my daddy or my ears similar to my mummy, so that character, particular character, is known as hereditary character. So there are some hereditary characters in our family. If you have brothers or sisters, you can check what are the hereditary characters that you got from your parents. These characters are either known as hereditary characters, or properly they are known as inherited traits. Traits are the characters. Another word for characters is traits. And inherited traits means there are many characters, many traits in us which we have inherited as it is from our parents, right? So we inherit traits, we inherit characters from our parents or grandparents, from our ancestors. This phenomenon you have not only seen in human beings, you must have also seen it in animals. If a brown colored dog gives birth to puppies, the puppies might also be brown. A black colored dog gives birth to puppies, the puppies might be black. And if a black colored dog breeds with a white colored dog, a female dog, so if they breed together, the children might be black, might be white, or might have white spots on black fur, or black dots on white fur. So you can see some characters from the parents coming into the child, and that is known as inherited characters or inherited traits. So this, we are going to study inherited traits. What is the reason for these inherited characters that are coming into us? How do certain characters from parents enter into the child? How are they carried over generations? So let us see what is the reason behind inherited traits. What is the reason behind it? The main reason is that when parents reproduce, during the process of reproduction, they are actually handing over DNA, their DNA, to the offspring, the child. Offspring means children. So the reason for heredity is actually the DNA that is transferred from parents to offsprings. So the transfer of DNA is the main reason for heredity. Main reason, the only reason for heredity is transfer of DNA. For those who do not know what is DNA, don't worry. DNA is a molecule. DNA is a type of molecule. There are a lot of molecules inside our body, like water is a molecule, like carbon dioxide is a molecule. These are small molecules. DNA is a large molecule. DNA is a very large molecule. Where is it present? It is present inside your cells. You can't see the cells of your body, but if you see it through the microscope, you will see cells, and inside the cell you might see nucleus. Inside the nucleus, these molecules of DNA are present. So where are DNA present? DNA present inside the nucleus. The full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. So it's an acid, nucleic acid, present inside the nucleus, nucleic acid, and this is a chemical present in the DNA. So it's a molecule, remember, it's a molecule and not a small molecule, it's a large molecule, and this large molecule has codes, has code words, Okay, the code words are as forms of ATGC, and these codes can continue A, D, T, C, G, C, T, anything it can be. So in this form, and remember DNA is not one long string, it is two strings wound over each other. So these two strings are connected to each other. This is DNA, and DNA molecule is a long molecule which contains codes. These codes are known as genetic codes. These codes are known as genetic codes present inside the DNA. So DNA molecule is a long molecule. Where is it present? Present inside the nucleus. It is acidic in nature. It is present inside the nucleus, and it contains codes called the genetic codes. Okay. Now, what is so special about these codes? These codes, not all the codes, but many of these codes are secret codes for certain properties in our body. Some of these codes might be information to the eye color. Other codes might be information to the shape of the ears. Maybe there are some codes present inside for the shape of the hair. Some codes, some genetic codes code for the skin color. Some codes code for the face shape, the chin, the nose, the eyes, the eyebrow, the length of the forehead, etc. So there are many, actually all the characters in your body are due to the genetic codes present on your DNA. You have DNA in the cells, and that DNA has genetic codes for every character in your body. Understood? So from where did these information codes come into you? These codes, the codes that have information about your structure of your body, not only external structures, even internal structures, your liver, your shape of the heart, the shape of your blood vessels, everything is coded by these genetic codes present on the DNA present inside your nucleus of each cell. But from where did this information come? These information molecules come from your parents during reproduction. So during reproduction, your parents are going to donate their DNA to the offsprings, and offsprings will get the DNA, and these DNA will have some code language for how to make the baby, how tall to make the baby, how fair to make the baby, what color should be the eyes, what color is the hair, what shape is the hair, etc. Everything is coded by this. So that's why it's known as the blueprint of the body. DNA is also known as the blueprint. You know what's a blueprint? When you make a house, you should have a plan for it, a map for it. That's known as a blueprint. The map you give the workers, the same way they are going to build your house. If there's a different structure, different plan in the map, then the house will be different. Every house is different because they have different plans, different maps, blueprints. Same way, you are different, I am different, we look different because there is different genetic codes in us. Your genetic code is different from mine. But you have hands on your shoulders, that too 2 hands. I also have hands. You have 5 fingers in your hand, I also have 5 fingers in my hand. So that means approximately our genetic codes are similar. That's why we have hands. We don't have hoof like a cow. Cow has hoofs. Cow does not have fingers. Okay, our ears are this shape. Cow has a different shape. Cow has horns. We don't have. So that means a different species of animals will have a complete DNA different. Complete DNA codes will be different for different organisms. In one species, let us say human being is one species. All human beings are one species. Remember. Now, in all human beings, the genetic code is approximately same. That is why we look the same. Ears are this shape, not like a rabbit. We don't have horns. We have 5 fingers, not hoofs. We don't have even paws like a dog or a cheetah, right? We don't have a trunk. We don't have tusks. So approximately our body design is the same because our DNA is approximately the same. But I look different from you. You look different from your brother or sister because there are slight changes in the DNA. You will have your DNA specific. Only you will have. Nobody else, right? So from where did this information come into you? The information comes into us through the transfer of DNA during reproduction, and we got our DNA from our parents. Remember that. Now, if we got DNA from our parents, even your brother or sister got his or her DNA from your parents, both must have the same DNA. If both have the same DNA, why are you different from your brother or your sister? And if you got DNA from your mother or your father, why are you not exactly like your father? Why are you not exactly like your mother? So you see, there is transfer of characters through the DNA, there are transfers of characters, but majority of your characters are slightly different from your parents or from your siblings. These slight changes of characters in biology, it's known as variation. So we need to understand this term as well. So heredity is transfer of characters from one generation to the other. Now these characters have been transferred into the next generation because of transfer of DNA, but the DNA when it is transferred it is not exactly same. I'll come to that in my next class. The DNA when it is transferred into the next generation, it is not exactly same. Somewhat parts of the DNA is the same, and when some parts are same, we show that character of the parent. If I have similar eye color as my parent, this means that the genetic code of the eye color of my parent has come into me as it is. But if I don't have the same skin color as my parent, so that means the genetic codes have been changed. When the DNA comes from my parents into me, that time the DNA codes can be changed, and when these DNA codes are changed, it leads to something known as variation, and we show lot of variation. We are not exactly similar to our parents. That is variation. You and your brother or your sister have the same DNA as your parents, because you have the same parents. You might have the same DNA, but still you are different. Your parents can differentiate between you because of the different variations that have happened in you. So variations, what are variations? Variations means slight changes of characters from parents to offspring. Slight changes in characters from parents to offspring when the DNA is passed over to the next generation. When DNA is passed, there is slight changes, and those slight changes leads to slight changes in the external structures, and slight changes in the external structures is variation. Now, why does this happen? Let us understand the genetic level of it. If you remember in your class 9th, you studied cell division, right? There are two types of cell divisions. The common type of cell division is mitosis. Remember mitosis? In mitosis, one cell will produce two cells. One cell produces two cells, and the best part of it is the two cells produced are exactly identical to the mother cell. They are exactly identical to the mother cell. That means they are exactly identical to each other. So this is what happens in our normal body cells. Everywhere in our body we have similar DNA. All our cells from our body have come from that small little unicellular structure called zygote. You remember, all cells we have right now have come from the zygote. That one zygote divided through mitosis to produce so many cells, and in all the cells the DNA is the same. So in mitosis, DNA remains same. So they are, we'll say, genetically similar. DNA same means genetically similar. And if their DNA is same, their external structures might also be the same. Okay, genetically similar. Genetically similar cells are known as clones. Just for your information, genetically similar cells are known as clones. So in mitosis, the cells that are produced are clones, genetically similar to the parent. Okay, and if you have studied a bit better, you must have studied that most of our cells are diploid. You heard the word diploid? Diploid means all our chromosomes are in pairs. We receive chromosomes from our mummy also, from our daddy also. So all the chromosomes are double in number. We have 46 chromosomes. Human beings, only human beings I'm talking about. Different organisms have different number. Human beings have 46 chromosomes. Out of them, 23 from your father, 23 from your mother. So we also have chromosomes in pairs. Chromosomes, where are chromosomes found? Inside the nucleus. And what are these chromosomes made up of? The same DNA I was talking in the next class. In my previous class I spoke about DNA. DNA forms structures called chromosomes, and we have not one DNA, not one chromosome, we have 46 chromosomes, 23 from a father, 23 from a mother. Right? So these chromosomes are DNA, okay? For you it will be the same. So diploid cells, from our head to foot we have all diploid cells. All cells have equal chromosomes from our mother, from our father. It's this, and when that cell divides by mitosis from head to foot, we get the daughter cells, which are also diploid. Daughter cells are also diploid, and they are genetically similar. That was mitosis. This was class 9th when you studied. But this is not the only type of cell division. You might have studied another cell division, another type of cell division called meiosis. Remember, that is important for us. Meiosis. Meiosis is a cell division in which one cell produces 4 different cells. These cells are called gametes. These cells are called gametes. Gametes are the sex cells, the cells that cause reproduction. The sperm cells, ovum cells in human beings. In plants, it will be something else. They are called gametes. Gametes are special sex cells, they are reproductive cells, they will cause reproduction. So, meiosis produces gametes. By meiosis, gametes are being produced. And what is so special about gametes? Very special. Gametes are very special. What is so special? The cells that are producing gametes are diploid. The cells are diploid, and these cells are not present everywhere in your body. Okay, these cells are present only in certain reproductive structures. These cells are special cells called germ cells. We call them germ cells. Germ cells does not mean germs. Germs means germinating cells. So they are cells that can germinate, that can produce reproduction, that can cause reproduction. So germ cells we call them. We don't have germ cells anywhere, everywhere in our body. We have only at certain locations like the testes and the ovaries. Testes and ovaries have germ cells. That is why testes and ovaries are the only organs that can produce gametes. Okay. In plants also there are special structures we will see in our chapter called reproduction. There we will see germ cells are present only in certain locations, not everywhere. That's why gametes are present only in certain places, reproductive parts. Okay. Now the main cell, germ cell, is diploid, but when it is doing meiosis, it is producing gametes which are haploid. Haploid means, this word is haploid. Haploid means half number of the normal chromosomes. Haploid, means half. So our cells, let us take it on us. We have 46 chromosomes in each cell, but our gametes have only 23 chromosomes, 23 DNA molecules, 23 chromosomes. So our normal body cells have 46 chromosomes, our gametes have only 23 chromosomes. Not only in us, in all organisms, gametes have half number of chromosomes, and that is necessary because male gamete, only when it fuses with the female gamete, zygote is formed, offspring will be formed. So because two cells have to fuse, have to meet, these two cells should have half number of chromosomes. 23 and 23, when they meet again, it will become 46. Then the new offspring will be born. New offspring, germ cells will produce gametes. Again, it will become half number of chromosomes, so that when these gametes fuse with other gametes, it will become 46. And that is how meiosis helps to maintain the chromosome number in a species. The number of chromosomes in a species is constant with the help of meiosis. It reduces the number of chromosomes to half, so that in reproduction, when it fuses with another gamete, it becomes again a complete number. Anyway, so that is not the main point. This is class 9th, I am revising with you. So in meiosis, a diploid cell is producing gametes, and gametes are haploid, half number of chromosomes, but that is not important. Very important point is, during the process of meiosis, there is another process happening during this process. This process is known as, this process I'll write here, is recombination. Recombination is happening. This process, recombination, sometimes it is known as crossing over. Recombination or crossing over. What does it mean? Listen very carefully. We have all chromosomes in pairs. One chromosome coming from daddy, one coming from mommy. So our chromosomes are in pairs. Okay. Now what happens? In the gamete only one chromosome has to go. Not one chromosome. Half number of chromosomes. If we have 46, 23 will go. If we have an organism having only 2 chromosomes, in the offspring only one chromosome will go. So which one of the 2 will go? So they will not fight with each other, ki I will go and I will go. No, they don't do that. What do? They come close to each other and they interchange their DNA. The DNA from here will go into this chromosome, and some parts, not all, some parts from this chromosome comes into this, some parts of this come into this. That's why it is known as crossing over. Some DNA fragments from this chromosome get into this, and some DNA fragments from this chromosome get into this. So this process happens during meiosis, and when this is over, you have 2 chromosomes which are not similar to the parents. The parents are doing meiosis. Remember again, parents, the reproductive parts in the parents are doing meiosis. Now parents have some chromosomes. Now these chromosomes are going to cross over, and when the crossing over is over, you will get 2 chromosomes which are not similar to the parents. Some parts are similar, some are different. Some parts are similar, others are different. So now we have two different types of chromosomes, and one chromosome will go in one gamete, the other chromosome will go in the other gamete. But these chromosomes, parts of them are similar to our mummy, parts of them are similar to our daddy, due to the crossing over, due to the changes of DNA. So that means when parents make gametes, reproduction has not occurred yet, they only made gametes. So during the formation of gametes, DNA is changed. Because DNA is changed in the gametes can't be called clones. You remember clones? Genetically similar. Gametes are not genetically similar, they are genetically unidentical. 4 gametes are produced, 4 of them are different. Okay, 4 of them are different because different recombination, different crossing overs have happened at different locations. The 4 of the chromosomes are different. Now when this gamete fuses with another gamete from other source, okay, this is your father's gamete, let's say your mother's gamete is coming from there, so now zygote will be formed. This is also gamete, so this will be haploid, this is also haploid. Here recombination has occurred, there also recombination has occurred. So they will, the DNA from here, from this gamete, 23 chromosomes are coming from here, 23 from here, so it becomes 46. So here you again get diploid cell. But remember, the chromosomes that have come from your daddy and your mummy, they are not exactly similar to your daddy or your mummy because of the process of crossing over. And this is the reason for variation. Some of the fragments are same as your daddy, some of the fragments are same as your mummy. But then the whole DNA is not similar as your daddy or your mummy. So some characters of your daddy and mummy can come into you, and they will be called inherited traits, inherited characters. But majority or most of the characters in you are something different from your parents. Might be similar to your parents, but with slight changes. These slight changes have occurred during the process of gamete formation by the process of recombination, and this gives rise to variation. So variation is the slight change of characters as it is passed on into the next generation, and the slight changes of characters can occur due to many reasons, but the most important reason is recombination. Most important reason for variation is recombination or crossing over, right? There can be other reasons also. When a child is born, the environmental factors can bring about variation. There are other reasons also for variation, but when we are asked what is the reason for variation, we should say crossing over or recombination is the reason for variation. So I leave you with this, a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to research about. Please research, don't depend only on my perspective of the topic. I will have one perspective, books, the author of different books will have different perspectives. Get every perspective as possible and then form your own perspective. Okay, so do your own research, find out about recombination, find out about variation, and then you will understand the topic well. So I'll catch you in the next class. Till then, keep safe and be studying. Bye.